Good morning, this is Steve Nelson of the National Weather Service. We're going to do a quick update like we did last night for Hurricane Irma. This is the latest satellite imagery, and you can see here to get your bearings before I show you the current status. Here's Florida, this is Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. So as we zoom in, this is over about the last 6 hours. Still a very powerful storm, lots of outflow, very strong, clear eye in this imagery. You may even see some wobbling in the eye. That's not necessarily a sign of weakness. It's actually normal with the inner part of the eye wall can actually have eddies within that. So the storm is still very strong and powerful. It did track north of Puerto Rico, so that's good news for those that may have friends or loved ones in Puerto Rico. It was still very, strong storm with lots of very heavy rainfall. And they're still collecting impacts, but as far as the strongest winds, they did manage to stay north of the island, so good news there. Current conditions, what they have from the Hurricane Center and Irma, just to go over that again, this was still a very strong storm at 5 a.m. We're looking at winds of 180 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at 17 miles per hour, pressure 921 millibars. Still a Category 5 storm, so we'll get to Irma here in a minute, but I wanted to point out over here, you can see we actually have 3 hurricanes. You may have seen this in the news last night, that we have 3. One is Jose here in the Atlantic, and Katia here in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. So to quickly show you a status of what those 2 look like before we go in depth a little bit more with Irma, is Hurricane Jose, and here it's a little bit further west. The 5 a.m. conditions have it at 90 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at 18 miles per hour. It's actually following a track very similar to Irma that it moved over these areas, actually in the northern Leeward Islands where it hit this time last night. It's forecast to move very close to those same areas, so there may be recovery efforts or people dealing with the impacts from powerful storm Irma. This may increase a little bit in intensity, hopefully not too much. The Hurricane Center is not forecasting a major storm, but they're going to have to watch this closely. It may be moving over the same areas before it kind of curves more to the north early next week. Hurricane Katia is in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. This was a little bit surprising that it's formed into a hurricane, but it looks very good on satellite imagery, and it is forecast to move southwest into Mexico, where it should dissipate. Lots of rain there, but no impacts to the United States. So here we are at Irma again. This is the forecast locations. These are forecast to remain very strong. This is a major hurricane. The M means major. So you can see these most likely time frames of where it's going to be. It's going to be approaching the South Florida coastline early Sunday morning. So we don't see hurricane watches yet. These pink areas are watches. The reds are warnings. We do understand from the Hurricane Center that watches will probably be issued sometime today, around midday maybe. So be on the lookout for that. And the forecast track, again, like we showed last night, it's supposed to be curving to the north pretty quickly. And we're not exactly sure if it's going to stay over Florida, if it's going to go east of Florida, and perhaps even west of Florida. You can't rule that out. Still quite a bit of uncertainty. And the main thing, if you have family or friends, anyone that you know in Florida, the most important message is that you heed evacuation orders. You can't take chances with a storm this strong. It's very important that you listen to the advice given to you. Can't state that enough. As far as Georgia goes, we're still looking relatively okay compared to Florida, but this will be a major storm. Once it reemerges into the Atlantic, which is what's forecast, and especially if it stays off the coast of Florida, even though it will be weakening, it will not be weakening enough, it appears, to not cause to have any less impact, so to speak, over Georgia or South Carolina. Wherever it makes landfall, it could make landfall anywhere within these areas within the cone, so be prepared for that. This is just the most likely track, and we're looking at 2 a.m. Tuesday for that. So pay attention to this. There's still time. I know it's early next week, but you never can be too early with preparations. So I think that's all we've got for now, and we'll have a little bit more. One thing before I go, this is a graphic you may not have seen much until this year. This is new for the season. The time frame, this is a little different as compared to the graphic we showed you earlier, but the main thing is this is the earliest reasonable arrival time. This is again why we're saying to prepare early, because the storm could speed up and the wind field is so large, the impacts from the storm will be felt before the center arrives. So impacts in Georgia could be felt as early as Sunday here in southeast Georgia. So stay tuned with us and keep you advised.